light of all innocence, exquisite perfection of God. Accepting in this moment accepting, embracing the truth of light, that there is nothing else. Whatever has been conjured up and held as valid is being called to be surrendered, to be offered into the light. The choice is within, in every moment, finding the yes of the heart, the willingness to accept only peace and joy and harmony and tranquility. It is the choice of every moment, and as you choose to embrace the light that you are, humanity is given healing. Who are you serving in every moment? To be asking the question, who am I serving? What am I serving? What am I choosing? That question is the gift of true life, of true remembering. You are always choosing either fear or love. There is never a moment when you are not choosing. It is never a neutral place of no choice. And to recognize this choice is to recognize the beginning of freedom. To recognize this choice and to choose love is the offering to humanity of freedom. The call to love has to be accepted, has to be chosen. There is no healing in the identity of the victim. The healing is in the yes. I am not weak but strong in the truth of love. I am not helpless but all powerful in the truth of love. Choosing. And in this moment, choosing to serve humanity with the yes of the heart. Choosing freedom, peace and joy and harmony. Willing to let go of knowing about the past. Willing to let go about perceptions. conclusions, assessments, and recognizing there is no love in assessments, conclusions, and appraisals. Only fear. In this moment, choosing to breathe deeply and fully, to remember love, to fill every cell with the yes, willing to be here and breathe deeply in the yes. I will there be light. I will there be truth. I will there be harmony and peace. And I will breathe fully and deeply in that yes. Breathing in union. No longer wanting to hold a separate place. No longer wanting to avoid the truth. Yes, I will participate in love. I will join in love. Breathing deeply and fully. And as you breathe deeply and fully, the willingness to let go of all perceptions of this day. All the different ways that you have said, I know this, I know that, I perceive this, I perceive that. And surrendering this day into the hands of God. The willingness for transformation of everything that has been thought, everything that has been held as a perception of separation. And as you breathe, the willingness to surrender the future into the hands of God, trusting that as you surrender, all will unfold in harmony, peace, and joy. Surrendered into God, surrendered into love. Breathing. Breathing into the throat, inviting the throat to open, willing to receive, willing to extend love, willing to rest in love. Breathing into the spine, surrendering the spine into the hands of God. Not wanting to keep anything in separation as a separate identity. Willingly surrendering the identity of the body into the hands of God. And breathing deeply, surrendering the shoulders, arms, and hands, any tension that may be held, any sense of the need for control in any way, noticing if it's held in the shoulders, arms, and hands, surrendering it all in this moment into love. Allowing the hands and the arms and the shoulders to be the instruments of love. To allow arms and hands to express love. Not wanting to defend anything. Breathing into the heart. Being present and aware of this moment. Not letting the mind drift into an unconscious state, but willing to stay present. open and aware. Breathing fully and deeply. Breathing into the heart, inviting the heart to come forward, open and available and undefended. Not shying away from an undefended heart, but choosing, recognizing that it is your choice in the moment to bring the heart forward, open, available, undefended. Offering the heart's love to every beloved, unconditionally. The willingness to recognize that every beloved is yourself, the mirror, the oneness, breathing. Breathing into the belly, deeply and fully surrendering all the organs into the hands of God. Not wanting to keep any organs, anything of the body separate, identified as mine, needing to be protected or defended in any way, identified with as a particular identity. Breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet, all being surrendered into love. And breathing into the emotional body, surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. No longer willing to have the emotional body run by the mind, by fear, reaction. No longer willing to be in reaction to suspicion seen on the outside by a perception of insanity. A willingness to surrender the emotional body into the hands of God, to be used as the expression of joy and harmony, compassion and love. Breathing. Breathing into this present moment, aware of the presence of love in this moment, aware of the union of the heart right here, noticing every beloved as the one true heart, opening to that awareness, accepting that awareness, inviting. Breathing and affirming that here in the infinite circle of love we are one. This sanctuary is filled with love. Nothing else exists. You have the choice to join love or to choose fear. Breathing in this moment. This universe is all of love. There is only one presence here. It is the life force of God. And within this life force we live and move and breathe as one. Nothing else is true. Breathing into the one heart, allowing the heart to join all of humanity. The willingness to set humanity free from the belief of wrongdoing. No longer willing to hold anyone as an enemy. No longer willing to hold that ancient hatred. Willing to accept love. allow this prayer to permeate into your heart with your yes. In the light we are the children, in the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. In the light we remember our mother. In the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. In the light we remember our Father. In the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. In the light all things come clear. I will there be light. That is the anthem of the heart. I will there be light. To join your will with the will of love. To willingly see only light, only peace, only joy, only harmony in every moment. And to deny everything else that is made up. Here is the choice. And in this light we remember. In this light that is chosen, we remember. The light dawns. And awareness is born. Always choosing until there is nothing left to choose, because all is light. And the perception of darkness is forgotten because it was never true. Just the bad dream of an insane mind. Joining so gratefully in the happiness that thank God it wasn't true. Thank God it wasn't real. Thank God I was mistaken. Happily mistaken. Here I am going, declaring the love within my heart. Here I want to affirm the love of our Divine Mother I am called forever to love. Here in this school of love, I come to give thanks to all divine beings. Within the light of our Mother, I am here forever to praise and never to try to aggrandize myself, pretending and battling with an image. I have seen myself as small in the size of love. But within this truth of light, I am all of love. I remember. I'm here to love together with all beloveds, all of us going together and praising the truth of love. Here within this power, the power of love, we must give thanks to our Mother and our Father. The healing that we are able to receive within the heart is the choice, the yes. And we are loving and giving thanks for that divine truth in this school of love. Eu aqui vou seguindo, declarando o amor dentro do meu coração. Eu aqui quero afirmar o amor de nossa mãe, para sempre eu amar. Aqui na escola do amor, eu venho agradecer a todos os seres divinos dentro da luz de nossa mãe, para sempre vou louvar e nunca me agradecer. Sou pequeno do tamanho do amor, para dentro desta luz o grande amor pode ser. Amar junto com os meus irmãos, todos nós seguindo juntos, e o Deus poder louvar. Aqui dentro do poder, devemos agradecer a nosso Pai, a nossa Mãe, as curas que vamos recebendo dentro do coração, amando e agradecendo. Declaring the love within my heart. Are you declaring the love within your heart? Are you affirming the love within your heart? Or choosing the past? This is the moment of choice. Declaring the love within my heart. No longer being afraid of declaring love. No longer afraid of embracing that only love is true. No longer afraid of a made-up identity that sometimes screams, but always screams the same thing. Hatred, suspicion, conquering, all the different expressions of fear. And the choice to no longer listen to that insane voice, that insane agreement, but the willingness to declare love, to declare, I am love, and only love. I can be nothing else. It isn't possible to be anything else. What am I choosing? What am I believing? I declare my love. I declare the light. I refuse anything else. And I forgive that old tired belief of battle. Letting it go. Relinquishing ownership of the righteousness of judgment. Declare declaring the love within my heart. Bringing love and light into every moment. It's right there. It's within. Choosing. Here is our blessed Hafiz, again present, again being called into love by love. Not knowing exactly what is going on. You are newly hatched. So when someone comes by to feed you with some friendship or even something well cooked, your beak on occasion sticks them in the neck, not knowing exactly what is going on. Even when the beloved lands on your limb with a fresh worm of guidance or wisdom, your clumsiness can persist and he too gets poked. That is why I thought I might keep a safe distance from you, maybe that of a few hundred years, until you settle down and get things properly worked out. The temptation to attack, the temptation to be a victim, the temptation to see everything through battle. No one in the belief of illusion doesn't carry this temptation, doesn't carry this identity. But why would you want to poke at the offering of love from God? And that every beloved that is offering love is offering God. And are you offering love? Are you afraid of being poked, so you hold back? And then in that, as Hafiz so beautifully says, I might have to keep a distance from you, a safe distance, because maybe that of a few hundred years. That is the resistance to being guided, to being corrected. When you say no, consciously or unconsciously, when you say no, I won't let down my guard, I won't let the truth in, I won't accept the truth. You're choosing misery. You're choosing pain and suffering. That's all. It's just pain and suffering. It's not really true, but it's true to you. And all the while, the divine, the beloved, is wanting to bring you wisdom, wanting to bring you correction, wanting to bring you love. It's always right there. Always. But you can refuse and poke at it in an attempt to have your own way, in an attempt to affirm what you think you know, or you can accept the offering. every moment, accepting the offering. In this school of love, the arrogance of the ego says, oh no, I'm not in the school of love. I know what it's all about. I know what I'm doing. I know what everything means. But there's no healing there. There's no light, because you're refusing the light. But to see that you have this divine choice, and every new moment can be the moment of beginning, and the forgiveness of all that you made up in the name of protection, in the name of defense, in the name of being right. Any moment, it can all be let go. And the only one that has held on is the knowing. To let go of the knowing and to accept the miracle of love, the willingness to be transformed. It will be given you to see your brother's worth when all you want for him is peace, and what you want for him you will receive. That is the secret here in healing within this belief of the third dimension. Within the belief of the third dimension, you see yourself as an island. You see yourself as separate. And the self-absorption becomes, it's all about me. My pain, my knowing of pain, my past, my identity. And this is why in the journey of healing, even though it's just a perception of a journey, because you're already and always have been the complete light of God, but because you've forgotten, you have made a separate world, and the body is what signifies that you are separate. It's your evidence, it's your strongest evidence of being separate, of believing that you are separate. But the key to healing is to recognize that if you do not offer peace to your beloveds and to see them in wholeness, that peace cannot be offered to you, because you are one with every beloved. This cannot be understood with the mind. It's just not possible. The mind lives in a separate house that is called identity. But you can surrender your mind into the holy mind, the wholeness, the oneness, the one heart. It will be given you to see your beloved's worth when all you want for him is peace. Do you want peace for every beloved? Not in theory, but truly. Is that your waking intention when you wake up in the morning? I want peace for every beloved. I want every beloved to be offered peace. This is what I truly want. I want to offer that peace to every beloved. I don't want to do or give anything else, not with a thought, not with a gesture, not with any knowing, This is the journey. And there's no way around it. Everywhere you walk, you are surrounded by beloveds. You could run away to an island, and then maybe you'd think you'd be safe. But you wouldn't be safe because your mind would go with you. And all of the self-hatred that is being projected out would then maybe be seen for what it is. But your healing is in the recognition that every beloved is you. Nothing else. But what is every thought for? What is every thought for? That is the question. What is the intention of every gesture? Is it to offer love? And are you willing to receive love? Or is it conditional? This is what the ego loves. I'll be the judge of that. I'll be the judge of whether I want to accept your love. And in that is all pain and suffering. Every moment. When all you want for the beloved is peace. That truly means that every intention that you would have, that you would dedicate your existence to only offering peace. To question every thought. To question what is it that you are offering, choosing. Well, the ego would say, oh, I don't like this. This is hard work. This is annoying. I'd rather just go ahead and do it my way. You can. You can choose that. But in every way, it's going to be exactly the same as the past. Is that what you want? Do you just want to keep living your past? Because that's the choice. The ego loves to make it a belief of difficulty. Because you have to actually stop and question what's running. Where is your loyalty in the moment? What are you choosing in the moment? It's much easier, as the ego will try to convince, to just stay in trance and just do everything out of habit. There's even an element of arrogance that wraps itself around that, because the arrogance says, well, I certainly like all my thoughts. They keep me really entertained. I get to think of all kinds of things and conjure up all kinds of problems and conjure up all kinds of solutions to the problems. That's even really fun. But it doesn't bring you peace, and it doesn't bring you joy, and it doesn't bring you love. It brings you the same old, over and over and over again. What you want for every beloved, you will receive. Now this is where it gets dicey, because to recognize that cause and effect, that everything that you're seeing outside is what you want to offer, and that's then what you receive. You want to see a world of pain and suffering, that's what you will see. If you're not wanting to see a world of pain and suffering, you won't see a world of pain and suffering. How is it that every master is happy? It's not because every master is stupid. It's not because every master is got blinders on. It's because there's only love to see in the truth of the heart. And the recognition that the rest is all the suffering that has been chosen to play out a belief of separation and to self-attack. Is there compassion in the love that sees only love? Absolutely. Compassion for every beloved who is choosing to suffer. But all the while holding that it's not really true. It doesn't change the truth of who you are. It doesn't change the truth of love in any way. No one is damaged. No one is condemned. No one is indicted for anything. Not by God, not by love, only by those who believe in condemnation, only by those who believe in indictments, only those who believe in judgment. And all the while that you're judging others, you're judging yourself, because it's just the same. It's the trying to get rid of judgment so that you're thinking that you're getting away from self-judgment, but you'd never get away from it because the beloved is you. You can't project it far enough. You can't project it in any way. You can even try to project it into other centuries. You can try to project it into the future. You can try to project it anywhere you want to, but you're still stuck with the belief that you are to be judged, that you deserve judgment, and that you deserve punishment. And the guilt and the shame and the judgment and everything just keeps spinning around and around and around and around with no end to it until you step off of the wheel of suffering and choose love. Choose love. But that has to be chosen not as a theory. It has to be chosen in the moment. And it is a discipline. There's a beautiful teaching of Jesus that says, you are much too tolerant of your mind wanderings. Ooh, well, the ego says, not me. I'm not. It's all happening to me. Because to be a victim of the belief that everything is happening to you, then there's nothing you can do and you don't have to change. You've given a free pass to yourself to believe that you're going to stay as a victim. But there's just going to be more suffering in that. It's never going to shift in any way. It can't. But if you accept that you are too tolerant of your mind wanderings, then healing is possible. Because then you recognize, I have to choose. I have to choose. No one else can choose. No one else can choose. Every beloved is serving every beloved. But you have to choose. Sometimes you can reenact the game of life in a card game. So you pull out the victim card. That's always fun. No, here I've got 1,000 victim cards. I'm just going to keep pulling them out and be the victim of the world that I see. Be the victim of the world that I believe I am inside. But there cannot be any healing in that identity. As tempting as it is, there can't be any healing there. So how can you choose when everything is screaming at you that you're a victim? How can you possibly choose another way? You have free will. To believe you are a victim is to believe you don't have free will. That everything is being done to you and you're just in the middle of the road getting run over by bus after bus after bus after bus. And that identity gives you a false identity of innocence. As long as you believe that you're a victim, you can keep demonstrating, showing, look, I'm innocent. These aren't my thoughts. These aren't my thoughts of judgment. And when they are thoughts of judgments, they're justified. You don't understand. All of this has been done to me, and I have the right to be suspicious. I have the right to be justified in my suspicions. I have the right to be suspicious of everything and everyone. I have the right to try to get everything I want. When you hold the belief of being a victim, there's a shadow that doesn't want to be seen. And that is the shadow that says, I am entitled. I am entitled to be a victim. I believe my past and I am entitled. And you have to make up for me everything that has happened to me in the past. And you better do it right. You better show yourself and prove yourself to me, because I am entitled. I'm entitled to judge. I am entitled to get. I am entitled to win. I am entitled to protect and defend. A sense of entitlement because of the belief of being a victim. There was a spiritual teacher that once told a funny joke about this that said, it's like going to go buy a car and you want a really good deal on this car and you expect the salesperson to give you that good deal because you got screwed on the last two you bought. And this one should make it up to you. This one has to make it up to you because you are entitled. This wheel of suffering will never be stepped out of with that belief that there is something to be entitled to. You want to be entitled to pain and suffering. This is not an entitlement that you want to hold on to. To identify as a victim is no way a winning place. Not that there's anything to win or to lose, but there's no peace there. There's no love. There's no harmony. There's no joy. You can get a little bit of satisfaction out of it. No? And you can even get pity. I'll tell you a secret, is that I settled for pity and thought that that was a really great idea. That it was better than nothing. Because the belief was that without pity there was nothing. But every time you want pity, the poison within you just kind of turns in your belly. And when you go to sleep at night, you have nightmares because you have rejected love. You have rejected harmony and peace. And there's no winning. But no one else can choose for you. No one can twist your arm. No one can convince you. No one can force you to question the validity of your choices. What are you choosing? Peace and joy, love, or fear? Every decision. So in this same awareness, there's a teaching that says, whenever you deny a blessing to a beloved, you will feel deprived, because denial is as total as love. Are you even aware that you are denying a blessing? You can't be aware that you are denying a blessing when you believe that you're a victim. You can't recognize that you are denying a blessing when you are determined to be right. You're not even aware that you're denying a blessing, but you have to choose to be aware that you are denying a blessing. And when you deny that blessing, you will feel deprived. How is this possible? When you deny a blessing, there is an instant, because the ego is in charge in that moment. The ego is running the show in that moment. So when you are denying a blessing, you will have a momentary sense of satisfaction. A momentary sense that you're controlling something, that you're paying back something, that you're getting even somehow, that you're right somehow. But it's based on the belief that you are a victim, and that you have judged the other as not worthy of your blessing. But you're not yet aware that when you deny a blessing, you will experience being deprived. So when you feel deprived, when you feel without, alone, unconnected, all you have to do is remember a beloved and offer a blessing. Not to get something, but to recognize that that sense of deprivation is the cause and effect of your holding back love. It's the cause and effect, because it's all one. You are denying yourself a blessing. It isn't just that you're denying your beloved a blessing, because your beloved is you. And when you deny a blessing, you are denying yourself the blessing. Because it's all one. There is no you, there is no them. So you may even think, well, I showed them what I'm all about. No, you showed yourself that you're afraid, that you're suspicious, that you're afraid of loving, that you're afraid to trust the promises of God. And it is a leap of faith. There's no other way. When the ego is screaming at you, and it's your identity. So when I say the ego is screaming at you, you believe you are the ego. You believe that identity. You give it its worth. you give it its validity. And it's only you that can deny its validity. To become intolerant of the mind wanderings is a choice. So when Jesus says you are much too tolerant of your mind wanderings, how do you accept that? How do you embrace that offering? Do you just look at it and say, too tolerant of mind wanderings? Wow. I'll be able to repeat that when I'm having coffee with somebody. I know I can. Maybe I'll just write it down and then I'll really be able to. Or are you taking this in as the gift of divine medicine that is wanting to be offered so that you can remember and come home? You're much too tolerant of your mind wanderings. Can you become intolerant of your mind wanderings? Not hateful, intolerant. Truly. Refusing the temptation of the mind wanderings. If you were in a bank and the teller left a bunch of money sitting on the counter, you have a temptation, you have a choice in that moment. Maybe it wouldn't even come up, but let's say it does. And you're looking at that money and there's a voice saying, no one would notice. No one would notice. Go ahead and take the money. You deserve it. You deserve it. You have been really wronged in this world. Get even. Take the money. Where would the choice be? Would you hear that voice of the ego and would you listen? Or would you make a choice for love? And would you become intolerant of that voice that said, take the money? It's no different. It's no different than someone who is walking into a bank with a gun, with the voice saying, I deserve that money. I deserve to rob this bank. It's justified because I've had a crummy life. Where is the choice? The sane mind says, why didn't he choose? Why didn't she choose to not rob the bank? Deserves punishment. But this is no different than in every moment you have the choice to not listen to that same voice that murders and kills and robs and destroys in a more visceral way in the world is the same voice. Don't be fooled by the nicety of your voice. Oh, it doesn't mean the same thing. I don't need to question these things. I don't need to question the validity of my offering. It's just little things. No, they're all the same. When Jesus says you are much too tolerant of your mind wanderings, he's not saying, well, except for you guys that are just saying little things. This isn't about you. This is about the robbers and the murderers and the horrible people in the world. It doesn't include you. No, that offering is for everybody, and there is no healing without that recognition and that choosing. You're much too tolerant of your mind wanderings. What are mind wanderings? Mind wanderings are the undiscipline that is given permission in an unconscious way of just thinking whatever you want to think and letting it run amok in whatever way you believe. You're driving behind a car and you have an opinion about the one driving in front of you, or you have an opinion about your likes and your dislikes. These are mind wanderings. These are the mind wanderings that are making you miserable. It isn't. It isn't that you'll be a better person if you stop the mind wanderings. It's that you want to get off the wheel of suffering and step into the light. Step into the truth of love. Or do you? And only you can choose. But it's the mind wanderings, and the mind wanderings become the mouth wanderings. The mind wanderings become the eye wanderings, the perceptions, what you hear, what you see, what you think. It's all the same. It's all coming from the beliefs that you are separate and you are without, and you believe that it's true, and you are going to dance that game. But to recognize that you will feel deprived if you refuse those blessings to everyone. And that is the key, is that you are either blessing or you are condemning. And that's essential to see. You're never a neutral. There is no neutral place. You are either blessing or you are condemning. And if you're not willing to see that and to question, are you blessing or are you condemning, and you want to play a game saying, well, no, these thoughts don't mean anything. These thoughts, they're what's the big deal if I think that her hair cuts too short? What's the big deal if I talk about somebody and say, oh, you know, she, whatever. What's the big deal? Are you condemning? Is there ever a blessing in carrying information about somebody else? No, there's no blessing there. The willingness to come back and recognize, I want to only bless. I want to only bless, I don't want anything else. And when I bless, the grace of love is recognized within. I'm filled with grace because blessings are grace. Grace filled. Every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. Every loving thought is true. Every loving expression is true. But is it really loving? That you have to really ask, is this truly loving? Because the ego uses all kinds of forms to say, oh yeah, sure, this was loving, but really what it was is I wanted to get something. I wanted to get approval, I wanted to get recognition, I wanted to get a feeling of safety, I wanted to get something. That's not love. It is an appeal for help, but it is not love. Every loving offering is true. In the prayer, Mother, oh my mother, help me please. Help these children of yours who don't yet know how to love. That is a recognition that has to be accepted. I don't know how to love. How would I have learned to love when I've believed in battle and separation and suspicion? It's the recognition. Again, this is not an indictment. It is, I don't know how to love, please. Teach me to love. Teach me the truth of love. Let me not utter another word that is not a blessing of love. I would rather be mute than to utter a word that is not love. I would rather be deaf than to hear anything that is not love. I would rather be blind than to see anything that is not of love, that is not grace-filled, that is not a blessing. I would rather never speak again than to speak of anything but love, of helpfulness, the offering of love. And in that, the heart is completely healed, because there isn't any more wanting to battle. The choice is constantly coming back to every moment, beginning again, forgiveness again and again and again. But there's a funny thing with forgiveness. Everybody's heard this. In the Catholic religion, there is confession. So it was always a joke, Catholics or non-Catholics, it didn't make any difference, that you could go to confession, you could do anything you wanted all week, and then you go to confession and get rid of it. And then begin again the next day. Like you had a free pass. This is not forgiveness. This is not, I can do whatever I want and then forgive. Oops, sorry. The ego will use everything to manipulate and play a game, even with forgiveness. It's a distortion of forgiveness. It's not the truth of forgiveness. But the truth of forgiveness is, I forgot, and I don't want this anymore. I forgot the truth, and I don't want it anymore. I relinquish ownership of this identity. And yes, I can step back into forgiveness over and over and over again, yes, but not with the intention of, in between, I can do what I want, because forgiveness, I can just forgive again. No, that's just manipulation. But to truly want to forgive, to truly want to forgive the false identity you have given to everyone and everything, and the false identity you've given yourself. To truly want to relinquish ownership of the false identity. For real. Every time forgiveness is embraced, it's to truly, truly, truly want to relinquish ownership of that mistaken identity. That you truly are willing to let it go. That you truly are willing to see the divinity, the blessing, the beauty, the perfection of every beloved. Not just for this moment, but for every moment as it unfolds. And that you don't want anything else. Will you forget again? Possibly. And then again, truly, 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 to forgive the identity you've given to someone else and the identity that you've given to yourself. Truly. To no longer want to play the game of pretend like you have one life here and then you have your spiritual life. To bring everything into your spiritual journey and to truly want to live it in every moment. And to not tolerate the mind wanderings, to not tolerate the strategies, to not tolerate what you think you know. To not tolerate is not to condemn. To not tolerate is, I refuse to join that anymore. I refuse. It is not, it has no worth. It has no value. It has no helpfulness at all. And I will not tolerate it. Feel the power of that choice. Feel the possibility of the divine power of choosing love instead of fear. I will there be light. I am not weak but strong. I am not helpless but all-powerful in the truth of love. I refuse to join that belief of weakness. I refuse to believe anymore in being powerless, in being a victim. I refuse. I will there be light. I bring my full intention to blessing humanity and the world. I don't want anything else. It's all that I want in every moment. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. Are you willing to listen? Now, to some, this seems like a very strange concept. Listen? Listen to what? I got lots to listen to in my own head. Let me tell you some of the stuff that I can fill the space with. But can you hear the voice of love? Are you willing to hear it? Are you willing to step into that stillness, to hear the voice of love so that you truly want to bless everyone through the spirits of love's direction? Are you willing to be directed? Ooh, the ego hates to be directed. Hates it. Despises it. I want to do what I want to do. I want to be in charge. But don't be mistaken by that voice of obstinance, of stubbornness. That voice is the voice of fear. That's all that it is. It can bluster, it can be stubborn, it can be tenacious, whatever you want to call it, but it's all fear. And do you want to keep being run by fear, or do you want to hear the voice of love? The voice of the Holy Spirit, the voice of love, that is willing to guide you if you are willing to ask. What would be most helpful in this moment? I don't know. Show me the way. And the willingness to hear that voice of love. The willingness to be led. It isn't necessarily a voice that's saying, hello. You can hear the voice through a yes. You can hear the voice through the heart. You can hear the voice through, you pick up a teaching and there is the answer that you've been asking for. It's right there. Because you are willing. If you are willing, you will hear the voice of love. It's not available. It is never unavailable. But you have to be willing to hear the voice of love. The voice of the Spirit is as loud as your willingness to listen. Maybe you think your willingness is Okay, I'll give it a shot. What have you got to say to me? There's no willingness really there. It's really finding that yearning within to want to be led. Really. When the divine teacher shows up and you have that awareness that the blessings of God are so exquisite that you are given everything that you could possibly have to remember. And you keep seeing these blessings. Would you listen? If Jesus walked into the room, would you listen? Then why not listen to the voice that is always there, the voice of love? Or would you say to Jesus, no, I have a different idea. Yeah, I know you've been around a long time, but, I got it. I've got a schedule and a formulation of what I think I know. The voice of love is as loud as your willingness. You can say other things about it. You can say, I don't hear. You can say, it takes a long time to hear. It takes this, it takes that. No, it's because your willingness is not, you don't truly want to hear it. And you have some idea of what that means and how it should look. God would not leave you without. It's not possible that God will leave you without. It's just not possible. It's not possible that one can hear and one can't. That would be the cruelty of insanity. You might believe that, but it's not true. There is no one who is willing to hear that cannot hear the voice of love. Do you have to quiet your mind chatter? Yeah. You have to stop believing what you know and what's running. Do you have to recognize that you are afraid of being guided? Yes. Because you don't want to let go of control. It's to shine the light on the strategies that are in the way of hearing that voice of love. You can be guided in every moment. Is it a practice? Absolutely, it's a practice. Do you have to want it? Absolutely. You have to want it. You have to recognize in a moment of sanity that what you think you know and what has run your mind has not brought you to a place of peace. You have to recognize it, accept it, forgive that erroneous conclusion, and to truly want to hear the voice of love. And you will hear it. Is it annoying to the ego to have to say, I'm not sure what's most helpful here. I'm not clear yet. I have to go in and see clarity here. I have to be shown. Is this embarrassing? Ooh, I'm not going to say that. I have to be socially correct. I have to hold a facade together of knowing and control. That moment of your willingness to say, I don't know, I'm not clear yet what would be most helpful right now, is the offering of a blessing to every beloved who hears those words. Are you brave enough, courageous enough to offer love by evoking that you are willing to wait for guidance to make a decision about something? Do you get the cause and effect of this, that what a blessing this would be to anyone who hears you say this? Now, you're not going to say this, oh, I'm going to say this and not really do it, but they're going to think I'm really holy. Again, the ego can sabotage anything. But if you truly want to hear and be guided, you will be guided and you will hear. Absolutely. To believe that you don't have the capabilities is to say God is not that powerful. There is not enough power in God to have me hear guidance. It would mean that you know something that God doesn't know. You have come to a conclusion that you are not available for guidance because whatever you're making up is true. And yet, in this divine teaching, the Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to hear. So, if you are hearing, are you willing to accept that your willingness isn't really there? That there is a sabotage going on of, I really want to stay in control. I don't want to really hear. I want to stay in control. To recognize that and to identify the strategy is then the ability to surrender that strategy. And making a choice, I no longer want to believe that being in control has any worth, that there is anything to control. I'm willing to hear the voice of love, willing with all of my heart. I truly want to be led. I truly want to listen. I truly want to be guided. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to traverse. I don't know what's most helpful. It's not an indictment. It's a place of just sweet humility that recognizes these strategies that I've been using don't work. They just don't work. And I don't know. Mother, oh my mother, please come here, please, and teach these children of yours who don't yet know how to love. This is a place of humility. It's not an indictment. I don't know yet how to love. How would you yet know how to love? The past has been based on the belief of separation and the belief that you are without and that you are unworthy of love. So the divine schoolroom, this school of love, is about learning how to love and learning the truth of love and learning how to offer love and learning the grace of love to open to that divine awareness and to recognize the strategies that have been being used in a belief of protection and defense. The funniest thing about defense is that everybody has the same defense system. Everybody. It can look a million different ways because that's the ego strategy, is to make it look all different. But everybody's carrying the same strategy. And the ability to laugh at the strategies in their absurdity is part of the healing. When you hold your strategies as sacred and protect them and defend them and want them to stay hidden under a couple of layers, so in the pretext that nobody will notice that you're defended, everybody can see everybody's defenses. It's a big joke. It's an absolute big joke. It's like, hello. Yes, I am together. I am very calm and collected. And everybody is seeing the terror that's underneath the facade. Nobody's hiding anything. So you might as well just blah it up and say, well, here were my strategies. These didn't work. And everybody puts their strategies into the bonfire in the middle and lets them burn. And the willingness to expose, go beyond the facade of togetherness. Not togetherness like union, but the togetherness of I am so together. And the opposite isn't true. It's not the opposite of I'm a piece of dirt. It's neither one. It's that this togetherness is trying to shield and hide the belief that you're a piece of dirt. And it's letting it all go. You have nothing to fear. You have nothing to hide from. You have nothing to protect. The beauty and the perfection of the truth of oneness, of who you truly are in oneness, is so magnificent. There's no possible facade that you could ever make that could in any way have a resemblance to the beauty and perfection that you truly are. That is completely intact. And you're just covering it up with a belief of self-hatred and a belief of needing to protect something when there's nothing to protect. Nothing. But that's the leap of faith. Are you willing to step out of the protective devices that you've made and open the heart, offer the heart, offer blessings, offer love, want to see the innocence of every beloved, to look through the protective ways that everybody holds himself and really want to see the divine? Do you truly want to see the beloved? When you begin to see the beloved in everyone, you will begin to see the beloved within. That's the circle, because it's all one. And you can't see the beloved within without seeing the beloved in everyone. You can't possibly. Everyone has to come home with you. Everyone. Everyone that you have ever held as having wronged you, as having damaged you, as having done something to you, as having changed you in any way, as having any wrongdoing or done anything to anyone, every single beloved has to be brought into forgiveness, that you forgive the false identity you have given them. Only you can choose this. No one else can offer this in any way except you. It's your identification that you've given them. You can see this when you have, for instance, in a family that has come into incarnation and has played out all the game together. You can see this. You can have two beloveds who came in the roles of brothers and sisters, and they will have a completely different perception of not only what happened, but the meaning that they've given to each other. There's an agreement there of pain and suffering, yes, but there can't even be an agreement on what it was really. Everybody has a different perception based on their own perception of separation. And then they will fight over who's right. There's no end to the misery in those perceptions. There's no end to it until you're ready to say, I don't know who these beloveds were, who they are. I don't know them. I have made up an identity with them and for them. And only this heart can let it go. It's everyone's choice to set these beloveds free and to stop this wheel of suffering, of agreement. I will there be light. I am not weak but strong. I am not helpless but all powerful in the truth of love. I am choosing love. I am choosing the power of love. I will there be light. I am bringing my will, my choice to say yes to the light and only to the light. And I will not let anything else deter me anymore. The teaching of Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel in the lion's den was thrown to the lions, and he turned his back on the lions, and he turned to God. He chose, he made a choice. He turned away from the lions and turned to the light. He willed that there be light, and those lions were his ego. He turned away from the lie and turned to the light. And this is the choice. The miracles are waiting. Revelation is waiting for your willingness, for your yes, for your choosing love instead of fear. And to see fear for what it is, that it is the no to God. That fear is the great rebellion that says, no, I choose what I know. Instead of, I don't know, but I'm willing. I'm willing to be shown a new way. I'm willing to be held in the grace of love as I walk this journey of remembering. And to the remembering that, oh, there never was a journey to begin with. I was always here. Not in the little I, but as the I, as the divine. When every beloved remembers, every beloved recognizes, oh, I never went anywhere. Nothing ever happened. Only love was true. Choosing in every moment. So in this moment of choice, if there are any questions, allow your heart to speak.
So, in that choosing, when the thoughts are racing in one's mind, and I say, I don't want, I don't want this, or I want to choose love, but and then they just keep coming and coming. So, what can I do in that moment?
That's really the moment of prayer. It's really the refusal. So you recognize the thoughts are not of love. You recognize they're not peaceful. They're just yakety 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 yak. So if you had a child on the floor that was having a temper tantrum, you could scream at them, at the child, right? And you could say, "Shut up! Stop it!" But there wouldn't be any helpfulness there because you would be joining, right, with the insanity of that temper tantrum. Or you could consciously relax and trust and wait and say, I'm not going to choose anything that's not of love, and I'm just not giving it any attention. When you don't give it attention, it has to disappear, because the fuel that is the habit of the thoughts is coming from your fuel. I mean, you are fueling it. Habit, it's just the unconscious, this is all that I know. But when you stop giving it validity and refuse its authenticity, not through battle, not like I hate this. Once you engage, the power, you're still giving it power because you're believing that it has power and strength and validity. You've made it real in that. But if you refuse its authenticity by just really ignoring it, turning away from it, and asking, this isn't peaceful, this isn't joyful, this is not, so it's not of God. And I'm just making something up that has no validity. And then you just keep coming down into the heart. Just keep focusing breath into the heart, but not being worried about everything that's going yakety 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 yak. It's not any more worry than if a child was having a temper tantrum, and you don't have to be at the effect of it. And pretty soon they go away because they're not being engaged. There's no engagement with the thoughts. So you're just observing. Oh, look at that. Screaming Mimi. Oh yeah, I recognize that one. I recognize the energy of that one. Well, yeah. But they don't mean anything. And once you remove your validity of them, they stop. Because you don't want them. What's not in awareness is that the habit is producing the thoughts, in the sense that you believe you have to know something.
Or figure out a solution.
Yeah, well, that's knowing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you believe you have to know something, and that calls up the thoughts that are then confusing and but on the other hand,
Right.
or whatever, however it's portraying itself. And to recognize that no, this is not the way. The mind, the ego is saying, I need a solution, as if there is a problem. But you can relax if you are in the laws of God and trusting that God is not going to leave you without, that you truly want to hear the voice of love. It's not saying the voice of love, it's not necessarily a voice. It can just be an awareness, inspiration, but it isn't coming from figuring things out. And that divine inspiration, you're open to it because you truly want to be led. You truly want the answer. It's a practice because the mind is going to say, oh, this isn't a good idea. What if you're wrong? What if it's bad advice? I mean, it's going to come up with all kinds of insanity in order to distract you from actually wanting to hear and being led. Mm-hmm. Or you can use a deeper trust, and you could be guided to open a book, and that the answer will be there. Or you can draw a card, like a sacred card or an angel card or something like that. If you're not available to hear, then you draw the card because you truly want to be led. Mm-hmm. And in that, the whole engagement opens of that willingness to be led, because you're willing in any way to hear it, whether it's through a card that you draw or a tarot card or tossing a coin or whatever it is. You are trusting a power that the message will come, the spirit of love will come through whatever modality. And you're putting your trust there, rather than the trust that you've had in your mind of figuring things out and worrying about things and worrying then about, because this is what always happens. If it's your mind making up the solution, you will always then be worried. Mm-hmm. Even after, oh yeah, okay. I should go to the store or something, I should buy a new car, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. And then there's a fretting going on because of how the decision came. The decision came from your own mind and your own figuring things out. And then there's always an uneasiness because you don't trust that really, mm-hmm. because you're really then trying to trust the world somehow. And to pull a card, to ask the question and say, would it be most helpful for me to buy a car? And to pull the card and follow that is already you're opening it. That's the willingness to trust something beyond your own mind. Mm-hmm. And it will develop. And is it at first the ego is screaming, don't do that? Absolutely. Absolutely. How can I trust that? Because you're putting your faith and your trust in something, in a power that's beyond your comprehension, beyond your knowing. And so it's faith. Mm-hmm. But it will guide you. And it's just ignoring the mind's falderall, the screaming. And for a while, yeah, it just is, running all the time. But you're actually seeing it more clearly, mm-hmm. too. It isn't quite in as deep a trance state, where before you may not have been aware of how many thoughts and how everything was like yakety 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 yak all the time. You may not have been aware of that. And now you're more aware of it. The ego would like to react to that too and say, oh, this is horrible. Because it battles with itself. Mm-hmm. But no, this is the blessing to be able to see, oh wow, that's what's going on in the mind all the time when I give it my permission to run. And I'm no longer willing to give it my attention. The teaching of Yogananda that says, paraphrasing, when a guest is no longer welcome, the guest will leave. The reason that the mind is engaged and is running is because it's welcomed, because it's what you made. And that you no longer want that, it'll disappear because it's no longer being fueled by giving it worth, giving it validity. And that's the practice is the everyday, all day. Right. Of what is this for? What am I believing in? What am I? What's yakking? What's going on? Who's making this decision? And it's down to the simplicity of really practicing. Is it most helpful to have this or this to eat for breakfast? I don't know, but I'm willing to be shown what's most helpful. I don't know. And that's the practice, because then you begin to recognize how the instrument of guidance shows itself to you. And it can be a combination of many things. Sometimes you can actually hear. When I was in Brazil the first time, there was a beloved here that had asked me to take, because you couldn't write checks or anything in Brazil, you had to take cash. And so she had asked me to take something like, I don't know, $2,000 or something down to someone else in the community. And so I put it away, and I think I had a money belt or something, and I put it in there, and when I got to Brazil I couldn't find it. And I was in the community, in the room that I was sleeping in, and I couldn't find the money. And I went into, and the instant reaction was, oh no, this is horrible. And I remembered to pray, and I remembered to surrender it, and I went into the church. I walked over to the church, and I sat in the church, and I prayed, and if this is your will, I would be so happy to offer this, if it would be helpful. I don't know, but I'm saying yes to what's most helpful here. And I heard a voice, and the voice actually said, look under your suitcase. And I went back to the room, and I lifted up the suitcase, and the money was underneath it. I didn't always hear a voice like that, but that I truly wanted to serve. And I wasn't afraid that I'd have to replace the money, or it wasn't any of that. It was just that I wanted to serve. And if it was God's will, I was willing to look and find it. And that's always available. It's just that dropping in and trusting that there is the voice of love that really wants to lead you, that wants to offer that to you, and so that your journey will be one of ease and grace and resting. Because we don't know the journey. We haven't walked here before. And we don't know the way. And yet love wants to help you and to offer that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my darling. I will say one more thing to this. which is that every time you willingly ask for help and want to be led, and you allow yourself to be led, your trust and your faith grows. And that's as much of the healing as anything, is that it affirms for you that you are held, that you are loved, that you are being helped in every moment if you will accept the help. And it calms the heart. It calms the belief of aloneness, comforts that you are walking with mighty companions of love that are always willing to serve you and opening to that. So in this moment, find your willingness of what you truly want, that you truly want to remember, that you truly want to be led, and that you truly want to bless and to choose love in every moment. And that you don't want anything else. And that you will choose and refuse the lies and choose love. And that in this moment, you have the choice to offer love to every beloved that you are with in this moment. To bring an open heart and offer love.